All right, thank you for joining us on this episode of Top People. I'm Jordan Jones. I've got Matt Coe with me today, Sergeant of the Utah Police Department. I've known Matt for a long time, and like I've always say, is the best part of being a financial advisor and is people I get to work with and help. And Matt's one of those people, and it's been great to have a friendship with you over the years. And I've got to be the first to say that I never would have thought that you would have been a police officer going back to college days. And not that you were wild or anything or crazy or anything like that, but we were dumb college kids having fun, racing around town and doing those things. Not getting into trouble, but getting into a little bit of trouble.
Right.
So I think people would love to know, how did that happen in your life to where, how did you become and say, okay, this is what I want to do. I think this is extremely important to get into this and say, I have a passion for this. How did that, what kind of sparked you and how old were you and kind of tell me a little bit about that.
I would say it was kind of in high school. I kind of had an interest.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I was like, yeah, let's be a cop, or a police officer. It was either a marine biologist, which I know sounds crazy, or a police officer.
Okay.
And when I looked at the two, marine biology was going to be a long road.
Okay.
But I love the ocean. Even I didn't live by the ocean, but I love the ocean. I love, the wildlife in the ocean, all that kind of stuff. But I took a law enforcement class in high school from a West Jordan guy, and awesome, I loved it. I was very interested. So then when I got down to college, where we met, I actually switched and was like, I want to go FBI. I want to be an FBI agent. But then, you need a 4-year degree.
So were you keeping all this a secret from us when we were in college?
Yeah, I guess I didn't really voice because it's still immature, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking ahead, but living in the day, right?
Yep, I know what that's like.
So I looked into it. When we were down there, they had a FBI agent come and kind of give a spiel on what it takes and everything else. I attended the little hour class to see, and you need a 4-year degree. No matter what, you needed a 4-year degree. So I knew that was kind of down the road. So then I started thinking, what can I do, to prepare to kind of get to where I wanted to be. And the police officer thing kept coming up, and I just, hey, I'll just take my generals, see where I'm at, blah, 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 blah. Left school, went back home, went to serve an LES mission, didn't work out the way I wanted to, so got married young, 20 and 18, and kept talking with the wife, and she supported it, thank heaven, and enlisted in the police academy, saw that I really wanted to help people. It's what I really wanted to do with my life, and threw the FBI thing out the window and said I want to be a police officer instead.
So we were talking a little bit about police training and police academy and going through that, and the question came up, would you rather, because you have to get tased or pepper sprayed, or both actually, in police academy. You have to go through a whole bunch of stuff. So
not through the academy, but when you get hired by a department, they encourage it. They don't make you. They do not make you. We'll have a disclaimer. But you're encouraged to experience, in case the suspect or a bad guy ever gets that stuff, you got to know how to fight through it or react to it. It's better to experience at least, so you have that in your mind and you're not just totally shocked when it happens. So it's a good encouragement. It's a good thing to go through. If I was to choose one or the other and I had to pick one to do again, I would get tasered any day of the week other than getting pepper sprayed. Hands down.
That's what I hear, is the pepper spray is pretty bad.
Oh, it's terrible.
Are there police officers that do it more than once?
They might.
Just to say, hey,
I guess if they go to a different agency and they don't have their certificate, or
you get a certificate.
Yeah,
that you were
I went
sprayed?
to an instructor school for it, so I got a certificate. So hey, I got sprayed.
Yeah,
I'm not going down that road.
I'm in the club.
Yeah,
cool.
I don't want to go down that road.
Cool. So, going through police academy and all those kind of things, you've done that. I think that a lot of people don't know what to do when you get stopped by a police officer. I think there's a lot of panic. I know that I panic, oh no,
right.
What else is going on? What would you recommend to people when they get, I guess, pulled over most of the time for a traffic stop or whatever it is? How would you want people to respond to that? If you could talk to anybody watching this and say, look, do these things when you get pulled over and we won't have a problem.
I'd say the main thing is just let us see your hands.
Okay.
Just keep them on the steering wheel. I'm not saying put them out the window, on top of the roof. Just don't reach around for stuff, because we don't know that person. They don't know us, obviously, but we're a law enforcement officer. We're pulling you over for a legitimate purpose. keep your hands where we can see them, because we don't know if there's guns, there's drugs, whatever, and we don't know what we're walking up on.
Because if I went through the concealed and carry class a few years ago, and that was like part of the deal, is if I get pulled over, the first thing you do is put your hands on the steering wheel and let them know. So that's
and we appreciate that, because if I'm walking up to somebody and they're doing this,
oh yeah,
I'm immediately going, what are they doing? I'm going to start yelling, show me your hands. They might just be reaching for their license, they might be grabbing their wallet, but just wait until we ask you to grab those things.
Okay.
And like more often than not, that's what they're doing. But there's that 1% or something that they're reaching for a gun or reaching for something they're not supposed to be reaching for.
What do you do when people are like, they were speeding and people say, well, can I see the radar gun? Is that like a rule, or how does that work?
People think it's a rule.
Okay.
And it's more a safety thing. We don't want people getting out of their car on a traffic stop, right? You still got traffic coming by. Mm-hmm. The law does not require us to show it. I have a LiDAR, so sometimes if the person's really anxious and I'm just, okay, you really want to see it, I go up and I'll show them the LiDAR and they can see the distance and their speed. But it doesn't, on some LiDARs, it shows your car. The one I have is just, it's target, it's specific.
Yeah.
I got that car and they're like, well, that's not me. How do you know? Sometimes it just turns into another argument.
Yeah.
So
for those of you that don't know, I've used Matt's LiDAR in his car on traffic stops, and it is like pointing a fine laser at your car and it tells the exact speed you're going. So for those of you that think that if there's a cop gunning you and it's some big wide range, most of the time it's not. If you're getting pulled over, you were hit with like a laser, knowing how fast you were.
Yeah, and radars are different. So the majority of us are now using LiDARs. We still have tons of radars. Everybody, I shouldn't say the majority, everybody uses radar and LiDAR. It just depends on preference. So the radar is going to shoot this cone wave across, right, the traffic lanes. It's going to give you a sound, it's a high-pitched sound with a fast car. The officer's going to spot it and say, okay, I know that's that car because it's passing everybody else, right, or appears to be going faster. You're going to get that target acquisition. The laser, just like you're talking about, is that little dot. I'm picking what car. There's no mistake on what car it is.
Yeah.
It's
a lot of fun, actually. So what else? People, put your hands on the, you're not going to tell them to put their hand on the wheel, but put their hands, put your hands where people can see them.
See them, and I've had plenty of people that have them already there. Like I said, the majority of the time people normally keep them up there, or they'll have them just somewhere I can see them, Just say, hey, that's usually how a police officer, hey, I pulled you over, or I pulled you over for this. Do you know how fast you were going, stuff like that. And I don't care if people don't want to like me, or of course they're upset. They're getting stopped, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to be happy. I wouldn't be happy.
Yeah.
But the thing is, just comply. Give them your information. I'm going to ask you for your license, registration, insurance card. We're going to be professional. We're going to be polite. And I'm not saying every officer in the known world is the most awesome, nice guy in the world, but just comply with what they're asking.
So don't argue and say, no, I wasn't speeding, or, right? Obviously.
They can argue, but that's not the time and the place on the side of the road. They can take it to court.
Yeah.
If they have questions, I'm more than happy to answer it. But if they want to sit there and have a shouting match, it's just not going to go anywhere. Yeah. Like I said, don't be happy. You can tell me whatever name you want. You want to call me, just give me your information. I'll go back to my car. I'll do what I got to do. And you might even get a warning.
Really?
I've had a guy call me all sorts of names. But I already predetermined before I got out of my car, I was going to give him a warning. I wasn't going to let his attitude affect my decision.
Okay.
And I think that's how most officers approach it, is you have that. I'm not going to let anybody's attitude ever affect what I was already going to do, because I'm not going to take anything personal, because they're attacking the uniform. They're not attacking the person.
That's true. Okay.
And I think a lot of people
might
mix that up.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to give you a ticket, I'm pulling you over. I already decided you're going 20 over. You're probably going to get a ticket.
You're going to get a ticket.
But a lot of times, a lot of officers are pretty good about it. You might have gone 20 over. We'll cut your brake and write you for 5 over. Just, hey, slow down. That's what we're here to do, is do enforcement, prevent crashes, right?
One of the things that's been a very hot topic on social media lately is the roundabout at Draper and 123rd. And I couldn't bring you on here and not say that I think that is the most ridiculous intersection.
The through U-turn.
The through U-turn is the worst road. My personal opinion, and probably thousands of other Utahns. I know that it's cut down traffic. I know it. But when I have to turn right to go left, it just is really interesting. So I had this exact same feelings. Okay. I absolutely
had the same feelings. So yeah, that through U-turn, when they started doing it, they had to show the videos right. They had to do like the drone to fly around and say, hey, this is how you go through it. Like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
What is going on?
It was a mess.
Before that was put in, we had a ton of accidents at that intersection.
Mm-hmm.
People turn right, always turning for left, failure to yield, boom, T-bone accidents. It happens. It happens at every intersection.
Mm-hmm.
But since they've done that, the accidents have significantly decreased. Like, unbelievably. If I could contact UDOT and get a percentage.
Find a ratio. It'd be interesting to know that.
I would say that
I imagine it's a lot less.
And I know it's frustrating for people
Right.
because it's like, right, okay, left.
Gotta go to Cafe Rio.
Yeah. Oh, I can't turn in here. I got to go all the way. You got to go around 4 intersections.
Are we going to start seeing more of those?
I think they said they were. I think they'll focus on those big intersections where really have accident problems, and they might start implementing more around the state.
Wow, that's great. That's really exciting to have more of those.
Don't travel in those
frustrated about.
areas.
Now, we've talked a little bit over the last few weeks that less and less people are applying to be police officers, more than ever, and it probably has a lot to do with Black Lives Matter. I think we'll jump into that in a minute. I think anybody watching is probably wondering, are we going to talk about that? We're going to talk about that and get Matt's perspective on that. But less and less people are applying, and so you've gotten some pay increases. Maybe it is time to just jump into that. As far as, is that why less and less people are applying? Is because of what they're seeing?
I think in today's society, that's a big part of it. You're putting your life on the line, and all the ambushes are going on, and you're less safe. I mean, guys are just sitting there, patrol cars, getting ambushed and walking down the street. I mean, protecting a protest and getting gunned down in the middle of the road, Another big thing, especially here in Utah, is the retirement system. They revamped the retirement system, I believe it was like 2012 or 2013. Luckily, I got under the Tier 1 system. So I give 20 years, I get 50% of my highest 3 years when I retire. And every year past 20 is 2% more, up to 70%. That's the way I understand it. So I'll probably do my 30 years, right? For the new guys coming in, it's 25 years for 37%. I mean, you're going to tell me you're going to walk and put your life on the line, and good for them. I mean, kudos to them. But that's tough to sign up for.
So I would respond with this: in doing retirement planning, daily for people, when they go to work for a company, there's no pension plan. I mean, majority of Americans and people not on, the pensions are gone. So really, I would say that it's still a good thing, even though it's not as much as it should be.
Right.
But that doesn't exist. And so, not to disagree with you in any way, but just to give you a different perspective, or for people that are, if they're concerned about, well, it's not that much, most people don't get that. People have to save into IRAs.
I think that is actually a good argument.
Yeah.
And it's that other side of the factor going, well, hey, we don't get anything when we retire. We got to save our own, right?
Most people don't.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
And that majority of people are like that. What I would say to that is, they don't always have to work holidays.
Yeah.
They don't always have to do shift work. They don't carry a gun on the side wondering if they're going to go home to their families every day. Yeah. They're not called out during dinner, a movie, that kind of stuff. So that would be my argument.
Okay.
Just like I wouldn't treat the normal day worker like a police officer. You can't, because you're not doing the same things we are.
No, I agree.
And not dealing with, hey, am I going to get sued today because I violated somebody's civil rights accidentally, or blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean?
And could they sue you? Could people sue you personally?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
They can sue us in the civil courts, and we can be liable for that.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, that's great. Good argument.
Like I said, it is a good argument
because the work is totally different.
You got to save your own money, but I get a pension.
You got to save your life and other people, potentially.
So it's a very good argument on both sides of the table, I believe.
I think that's great. I think that's fair.
I agree with you.
I agree. So, getting into, there's been ambushes and all these different. There's so much going on in the media right now with Black Lives Matter. I would say, to be completely, for people that are watching this, that if you've been living under a hole, what is the Black Lives Matter hashtag? What is this Black Lives Matter movement?
Well, I'd say it depends, I guess, who you talk to.
Okay.
I think it's getting more and more radical, right? I have my own personal beliefs that I won't get into too much.
Okay.
Obviously, it's upsetting. I'm all for people protesting. Totally agree. Martin Luther King and all them, protesting, doing it the right way. It's peaceful protests, stand up for what you believe in. The protesting where they're lashing out, and you've seen the TV where they're up in officers' faces, screaming, yelling, calling them names, trying to, instigate something, get a response so I can sue you. They're filming, hey, hit me, or they're throwing rocks or shoot. I mean, good Lord, they're killing people.
Yeah, officers are dying.
Right, and I'm not and obviously nobody's come out and said this is for Black Lives Matter, right? And then they're shooting down the officers. That is never, I'm not saying that. Mm-hmm. But all the stuff that's going on is absolutely adding the fuel to the fire against law enforcement. And the thing I think that bothers me the most about the movement is the fact that we are taking suspects or criminals and making them victims somehow.
Yeah, people that are breaking the law,
they're
getting chased,
officers.
Trying to get, if they're getting chased or whatever, trying to get, I don't know the right word, apprehended.
Right.
You're trying to bring them in.
Trying to arrest
them.
them.
They're fighting you, and you're having to use force. Now they're the victim because you had to use force.
Right. If you're going to pull a gun on a police officer, you should know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
If you're going to reach for a gun,
it's not okay for them to reach for a gun back.
Right.
Right.
Are we not allowed to defend ourselves?
Yeah. I think it's completely.
And I'm not saying that every shooting of people has been absolutely 100% okay. Yep, officers correct. Officers make mistakes. Mm-hmm. They absolutely do. Because we have that fast to make that decision of what we're going to do to either protect your life, our life, or the citizens' lives that are around.
Yep.
And I would say that's a very small amount where they're wrong. And obviously they're going to be held accountable for it. But the ones that have come out that are legitimate as far as good shoots, and they were protecting people or themselves, I don't understand this Black Lives Matter that we somehow don't care about Black Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. When they call, we don't ask on the phone what color you are, what race you are, what culture you're at. We just come.
Yeah. And
somehow they've turned it around that we're targeting them somehow, and I don't get it.
Do you, it's been funny to you share fantastic content on Facebook. And so if you want to see great content, police related, you're probably the best I've seen with things that you share. And one of the things you shared was not, that really kind of struck a chord, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, at the Democratic convention, they brought up the mothers of people that were shot by police officers, right? Mm-hmm. And on the flip side of that image, they showed an empty stage of these were the mothers or families or kids of the police officers that have been shot and killed. It's because of Black Lives Matter. And it was just interesting to see that and think, where did we go, how did we get so disconnected with, the people that are trying to protect us being the bad guys.
Right.
And, it's never fortunate when anybody passes away at all.
Right.
But, it's just puts things into perspective for us. And
well, see, and with that stuff, with the shootings and stuff going on, obviously we lost Derek Johnson a few years back, and when that happens, it always pops up on my mind. I see his face every day.
Because that was an ambush, basically.
Yeah, he pulled up to help somebody, and the guy shot him.
I mean, that's somebody you worked with every day, day in and day out. Did that change the way you approached police work, or as far as what it is you were doing?
I think it reiterated what we do. I think it made me more aware. Sometimes you do this job for a long time, you become complacent, right? Instead of getting out and walking up, which I've done a million times, I've sat in my car and pulled up next to people. I would have done probably the same thing Derek did. Hey, you guys okay? But I think it just reminds you that how dangerous this world is, and even in Draper, Utah, which is perceived as this safe place, which it is. It is safe, but anything can happen anywhere, and you just never know. You just never know.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, you do. It's a scary world. It can be, not all the time, but it can be.
And I would say we're.
So.
Sorry,
what were you going to say?
I was going to say I think we're very blessed. Like in the community I serve and work, and the other communities here in the state of Utah, we're very blessed with the community support. I'd say there's a very, very small amount that don't support us and do the riots and whatever else. But I say we have a very strong support system here.
Yeah. What types of because of the Black Lives Matter and all this, it's really all lives matter, but that's the kind of the hashtag going
Right.
around in this whole movement. What kind of a community outreach is happening on your end to offset this, or to, is there community outreach happening, or what things are you doing to try and get in front of this?
I would say departments across the nation are trying to do community outreach, more of it to get a better relationship going, stuff like that. From what we do at our department, we started a Coffee with a Cop program a couple years back.
What is it called?
Coffee with a Cop.
Coffee with a Cop.
So what we do is we try to do it 4 times a year. We meet at a local business and we give out coffee and juice and donuts. I know, haha.
Donuts.
And we just invite the public to come in an informal setting and just talk with us.